So I didn't cover every single thing that I needed to do in my initial review for Hardcore Henry. So that's why I'm here doing this spoiler review. And that's a warning to you guys. If you haven't seen this movie, and if you're planning on seeing this movie, go check out my other review. I do have a non-spoiler up. And then go see the movie and then come back. This is a spoiler review. This is going to be spoiler heavy. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go away now. And with all that out the way, let's continue. Did I mention before that this movie is extra violent and extra bloody?
Heavy gory. This movie is extremely gory. It's a lot of blood. It's a lot of gore. It's very brutal. This movie has a lot of blood, gore, guts. Lots and lots of blood, gore, guts. And blood and gore and guts.
Well, this movie is extra violent and extra bloody. It's like they went out their way to add extra gore, extra blood, and extra violence to this movie. This movie is like Deadpool on steroids. So guaranteed, if you didn't like that movie, you are not going to love this movie. But the thing is, I had no problem with it. Like, it was more gory and more bloody than what I thought it was going to be. But at the same time, it was done good because it had a good blend of the gore and violence along with the action, and the action was done well. I mean, the stunts and everything that was done, it leaves you wondering, like, how did they do some of these things? Because they were done pretty damn good. And it's just literally action-packed throughout the whole movie, as I mentioned in my other review. And I got to admit, there are some scenes where you feel like you're part of the action. And so I can compare it to it, is that there are scenes where Henry is dropping out of, like, high places, and you kind of feel like you're following along with them. It's kind of similar to if you're on a roller coaster and it drops down, how you feel that in the pit of your stomach. It's somewhat like that. Not as strong, but it's similar. And this movie, if I'm not mistaken, to my understanding, this movie was done through a GoPro that a guy wore on his head and just basically did the whole movie like that. And certain scenes were just done through a regular movie camera, but everything that they did and how it looked pretty damn good. And like I said before, I love the villain's powers. Like, if I had a chance to choose a certain power, telekinesis would be that. And I love how he just controls it. Like, he just pushes people around, just knocks them all out the way. It's like he knows how to control his power, so that makes him even deadlier. And I said in my other review that I didn't like him, like his character or how he, carried himself. But to think about it, he was a good villain as far as him being portrayed as just this bad guy that you would not want to cross, because he wouldn't be hesitant to kill you. He can do crazy things. He can kill you without even moving a muscle. So as far as a villain and how they wrote him into this and made him look threatening and just everything about him, and just how they made him look threatening with his power and what he can do and what he was doing, I like that aspect about it. His whole look and just his accent, it just didn't work with me. And one of the scenes that I love the most were the two end fighting scenes where Henry was going up against these dudes that are just like him, that are half man, half robot, and he was just kicking their asses from one person to the next person. And just the way that it was shot, the way he would like knock this person out, shoot that person, kick this person, just how it was choreographed, it looked amazing. And I really enjoyed that last fight scene. And then after all that was said and done, the boss fight, when he was going against this dude with the telekinetic powers. Even that fight in itself was really good, especially just the way it ended and how he killed the guy. I really did love that. Those two scenes were like the best scenes out of the whole entire movie. And then let me not even forget the beginning title sequence. Like, just how you see up close the stabbing and the brutality that this movie come to offer. And it's like just from the credits, just like what you've seen in Deadpool, how that kind of set the tone for the rest of the movie. This movie did the same thing. When you look at the beginning credits and how everything is going in slow motion, the stabbing, the punching, and all that stuff, it sets the tone for what the movie is. So it's like from the beginning, you know what you're going to expect. You know it's going to be a brutal movie, and that's exactly what it was. But there are a lot of dislikes to this movie that really kind of stood out to me. And it's like a lot of this kind of coincides with each other, but it's with the story, the character development, and just the gimmick. I mean, the story, it wasn't too much of a story. This guy, it was in some type of accident. He was put together, has robotic parts, and just the evil guy, Akan, is looking for him for whatever reason, because he's trying to build this half human, half robot army to take over the world. You really don't get a sense of why. There's no background to this Akan character where you know that he's wanting to take over the world, create this army, but you never get an explanation of why he's building this army. Like, what's the reason? I mean, it can't be just he wants power. I mean, that's somewhat of a good reason, but it's not a really great reason for why he's doing it, which he just doesn't have the motivation. Like, what is his motivation for doing this? It's just all of a sudden we're introduced to this character who wants to do these bad things, and that's it. And it's just a lot of the characters have no character development. Henry is a guy that, you know, character development will have to work more with him because you don't actually get to see what he looks like except at the end when he's looking through a piece of glass at himself. But like 99% of the movie, you don't see how he looks. It's basically we're Henry. You don't hear his voice, so he needs to be given something. And we get bits and pieces, but there's nothing to connect the dots of how he was before the accident and, you know, just anything about him. And it just goes with every single character. No character in this movie has a character development or a strong character development. And then Sharlto Copley, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who plays Jimmy in the movie, he has some type of character development, but not really. I mean, you understand why he's doing what he's doing, but it's really no substance there. It seems like this movie is too focused on the gimmick to worry about a story. And the gimmick with that being that it's like a video game. It's basically like Call of Duty. It's a first-person shooter. I mean, it's just really no type of meat to it. All it is basically just an action-packed, violent, bloody movie. And that's basically all it focuses on. And then another thing is it's a lot of shaky cam. A lot of times you get confused of what's going on, especially with the fighting. The fighting was cool. I mean, majority of the time you understood what was going on and you enjoyed it. But a lot of times it was very confusing because you don't know what was being done. And it's understandable because if you're fighting, a lot of times it's like, you know, you just doing whatever, but it's like it just doesn't work with this movie. It just kind of threw me off a lot, and the shaky cam was just all over the place, and it just was very noticeable. And then Tim Roth, a great actor, is promoted in the advertisement for this movie, in the trailers and all this stuff. It even has a name on the poster, but literally he's only in the movie for like 5 minutes, and it's not different scenes put together. It's one scene that's cut into 2 scenes. One at the beginning and then one towards the end fight. And it's like, really, you just have him in the movie for just that one scene? And that's it? Like, literally, he came into the studio one day and said his lines and left. So he was there for a cameoed paycheck. And, you know, just from the advertisement and everything that they had with him, you would think that he would be in the movie more. But as I look back at the trailer, yeah, he really wasn't in the trailer. So in a sense, it wasn't misleading. But if you're going to have his name on the poster, at least have him in there for more than 5 minutes. And they should have just put him in more of the movie rather than just one scene that's split into 2. The first being like an incomplete memory and the second one being basically the whole memory. And really, this concept was a curious concept. That's why I really wanted to see this movie. It really only works for the video games because you get the sense of control and you're basically feeling like you're the person because you're controlling that main character. You're becoming that main character and they spend more time on the story. With this movie, you don't get more of the story, the character development of that character. You just follow him doing all this crazy stuff and that's really about it. And like once you lose that element of control, it just becomes just a found footage. In a sense, as well as the whole taking the video game concept and doing a first person perspective. It's really just like a video game, but not only are you getting it from the first person perspective, but after he gets done kicking ass, he gets a call from Jimmy, says, okay, go to this place. He kicks some more ass. Jimmy hits him up again. Go to this place. And then it's just like a video game. You're completing missions, and so they send you somewhere else. And it just keeps going on. And that's basically the movie. And even the villain was a villain that you would see in a video game. Just how he was introduced as a person that can just walk into there. Like, you literally can watch this whole movie and picture it like a video game. And the humor, at times it worked, but it really didn't. It was certain things Henry did, the way his arms moved, because that's all you could see, and certain things that Jimmy said that was funny, but mainly all the jokes did not really hit. It was just like, oh, this is supposed to be funny. It really isn't. After a while, it just like, okay, more action, please. And just in the way it ended was just, it you don't have character development, you don't have a good story, you don't really have nothing except for just nonstop action, violence, and gore, and just the way it ended with him basically closing the door on like the girl that misled him and thinking that he was married to her. And you know, it was a good close on just basically getting rid of her, but the movie just ends like that. I don't know. It's like everything leading up to that point was good, but I just did not like the way it ended. But with all that said, even though I have a lot of dislikes with this movie did exactly what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be a non-stop action, violent, gory film, and that's exactly what it did. And I didn't expect too much from this movie, but I ended up really enjoying it. It was a great theater experience for me. And just to say that this movie is not for everybody. This is a straight popcorn movie for an action junkie. But for real, this isn't a date night movie. If you're planning on going on a date with a girl and you don't really know too much about this movie, this isn't the movie you take her on, especially if it's the first date. And it's just like the movie is basically like Crank mixed with Saw, mixed with Hostel, mixed with Deadpool and Call of Duty, all turned up to the max. And that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. And with that said, this concludes my spoiler take one movie review of Hardcore Henry. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you haven't, go check out my other non-spoiler review of Hardcore Henry. That's up now. As well as check out my Batman v Superman spoiler and non-spoiler review. And if you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button, leave a comment, and there will be more to come. So I'll catch you guys later. Until next time.